Hi, everyone. My name is Trent Christopher. I am the owner or founder and engineer over at 4.0 Hero. And what I've done is I'm leveraging my 22 years of expertise in system integration, machine building, and an engineer at a large electronics manufacturer to be able to show people how to create solutions and teach them how to apply them. So today, what we're going to do is I am going to I apologize. Here's my slide here. What we're doing over 4.0 Hero is we are combining a educational element along with solutions where I show people how to build solutions and then also teach them how to use them. So that's where FlowFuse comes in. So what is FlowFuse? It's built on Node-RED. It's a scalable platform that has many different features like remote management and edge connectivity and DevOps for Node-RED, and then also the ability to be able to develop it at scale. And this is one of the big things for me, is that it's sort of an architecture builder where we can build nodes at the edge and we can develop Node-RED remotely from anywhere. And then it takes snapshots and keeps track of all the changes as we go forward. There's many other features like team and blueprints and flows, team library that we'll be able to go through here in a few minutes. And one of the big ones that you came here today is dashboards. So we're going to show how to build dashboards using real world production data. And of course, I'm running it in a lab environment, as you can see behind me, but it is based on reality. So one of the architectures that can be built is the cloud-based. That's the easiest one to start with FlowFuse. So you can go right on the website and you can sign up and you can run Node-RED instances in the cloud. There's no reason to put them on a device. You can just get started today. That's really easy. But over on the right-hand side of my screen, you can see there are some remote instances. These are at the edge where they're running on a device in your facility or near an asset, near the devices, so that they can communicate with those devices. And then they can pass that information, that data, from the edge all the way up into the cloud hosted instances in FlowFuse. There are other ways that you can actually run FlowFuse. You can run it as self-hosted. So you can run the platform itself on your own hardware, on your own virtual machine if you need to. And then that way you can keep it all isolated and controlled. And it does not have to run in the cloud. So same thing. It has edge instances and then hosted instances as well. And there's the dedicated platform. That way you can get some more compliance and you get a little bit more resource dedication to your platform. Okay, so the big problem that we're going to try to solve today is that we have a lack of visibility and insight into production. So this is a very common problem for many manufacturers, not just manufacturers, but also like equipment builders may not have the visibility that they need or live visibility into their equipment or their process. So what we're going to do is we're going to show what we need to do is we need to monitor production from anywhere or an asset and data. It needs to be low code. So it needs to be relatively easy and quick to develop, and it needs to be flexible for implementation. So many different architectures as possibilities, many devices as possibilities to connect to. And that's where the extensive edge connectivity comes in for our requirements. Then the challenges is the cloud is pretty expensive. It can be expensive and complicated to be able to create your own solution by piecing together all of the different services that you might need to be able to create a dashboard that is accessible from anywhere. So dashboards need to be easy to develop, and that is something that FlowFuse and Node-RED help out with significantly to be able to create these dashboards very quickly, as you will see. It takes too long to build. We're going to do this in just a few minutes. It should take us probably 30 minutes-ish, maybe a little bit less than that, to be able to build these dashboards, and you will see that it really is not difficult to get insight or take too long. Then I mentioned the extensive edge connectivity. Various on-site devices will contain our data, and I'm going to show you those devices here. Here's what we're going to build. We're going to build this dashboard on the left-hand side. That is a desktop view as the primary image here. On the right-hand side is a mobile view. These are live, not really live, but I did snap them from my desktop and from my iPhone, and that's the power of being able to leverage connectivity in the cloud. So here's the architecture that we are going to be building today. We are going to be leveraging FlowFuse in the cloud on the right-hand side. You can see FlowFuse, and then you can see the dashboard is being presented by the cloud. And then we are going to leverage the project nodes to be able to go from the industrial PC that is running the FlowFuse Edge agent, and that is what manages the flows and development and the connectivity at that edge. And that is going to be sending, it's going to be connecting to our devices. As you can see in the bottom, what we have is a Allen Bradley Compact Logix. We have a Siemens S7 1200. We have an Omron NX102. They will be connecting using various commonly known protocols. We have Ethernet IP, we have Siemens S7 protocol, and OPC UA for these devices. All of the devices will have total parts, reject parts, and state, and we will build the dashboard as you can see in the previous slide here. Some other ways that you can build architecture with this, because it is an open piece of software to where you can install it on many different devices. I actually have a Phoenix Contact PLC Next right here over my shoulder, and it actually is running FlowFuse on it. So you can actually create device connectivity and solutions using open architecture devices. You can install it on it and you can get your connectivity, plus you get your high-speed control out of that particular device. And in this example, we're using REST API. There is a node, there's a node package that you can install in your node palette to where you can communicate directly to that PLC, whether it be installed on the PLC or not on the PLC. So some more protocols that we have. I'm going to show you some of these here in a minute, but you can see there is a handheld barcode reader where my finger is right now. We also have a battery backup that is right here, and we can talk to it using Modbus. There's also some remote I/O that is right here, these Moxa Ethernet I/O modules that are relatively inexpensive, and we can get some digital inputs and outputs. All of these things are currently directly integrated with my FlowFuse instance that is running on this industrial PC that's right here by OnLogic. And it is talking to all these different devices that are behind me. I am going to switch my camera here shortly, and I'm going to show you all these devices. Let's look real quick at the rest here. So we also have behind me, actually, forgive me, I'm going to go ahead and change my camera now because it's going to be best for you guys to see this stuff. Okay, that's probably a better view. So we'll come back to, you may not be able to see it because it's not full screen. So give me a second here. I actually want to go ahead and stop sharing briefly. So now you should hopefully be able to see full screen. All right, so what we have is starting over here, we've got our Rockwell Compact Logix. Here's our Omron NX102. Here's our Siemens S7. Here's the Moxa IO Logic IO. Up here, we've got our PLC Next, and here's our industrial PC that is running our Edge agent. Both of these are running Edge agents on them. I'll show you that in a minute in the platform. Down here are some IFM IO Link masters, and what they give us the capability to do are things like we can do displays, we can do lights, we can do barcode readers, we can do air cylinder monitoring, we can do temperature monitoring, we can do lights, encoders, we can do RFID readers, mounted barcode readers. So there's many different options. And just so you can see some of the visual, there's some of the things. While the lights may be a little bit blurry, this is a message. It says FlowFuse on it right here. And then there's some lights right there. I can also toggle it so we can see that we're changing it. And all of that's being controlled out of the Edge agent that is running out of this PC right here. Okay, I'm going to show you all of that coming here in just a minute. Let me share my screen again. Believe that I'm sharing my screen. I'm going to leave see. Forgive me. I'm going to change my camera so you can see me. All right. So moving forward, reviewing what we just looked at is we have a handheld barcode scanner using serial RS-232. We got UPS battery backups. We've got IO, and then looking at the IFM IO Link Master, we've got things like temperature probes, humidity, AC current clamp, a DC circuit breaker. We've got stack light, LED strip, dome light, a dot matrix display, RFID, barcode readers, rotary encoders, air cylinder monitoring. These are all things that they're directly integrated with FlowFuse. They're not stopping at a PLC first and then getting past to FlowFuse. They are actually going straight to FlowFuse. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to move on to.
Hi, Trent.
Hi. Got some questions?
Yeah. One from Luis Cortez. If you don't mind reading it and sharing your answer with everyone.
Sure. Like we got Luis has a question. So, what are the best hardware options you would recommend for running FlowFuse in an industrial environment solely for aggregating data from various controllers? If you are not planning on doing a lot of storage, so you really are just primarily using it for connectivity and you are trying to use it as a gateway, you can go pretty light. Just for example, this PLC Next here, it has pretty lightweight resources. It really is only running like, I think, a dual core 800 megahertz processor. It's using Linux in the background. So you can use pretty lightweight hardware. Raspberry Pi, I don't recommend in an industrial environment, but that's low resource hardware. You can run it on that pretty easily. So my suggestion is to go with something that's industrialized. So you can look at OnLogic. There's plenty of other ones too that are out there, Advantech, Phoenix Contact, that you can just look for Intel-based platforms that have a decent amount of RAM, minimum 2 gigs, but pushing 4 to 8 if you're doing a lot of devices. If you want to do more storage, just grow the resources. You can also run multiple instances on these devices as well if you needed to distribute some of the workload between multiple Node-RED instances. Okay, so let's get started on the dashboard because we are about 15 minutes in. I want to make sure we have plenty of time to answer questions if needed. Okay, so the dashboard 2.0. Dashboard 2.0, you can go to this dashboard.flowfuse.com and you can read the documentation. You can look at all the widget collection and check out all of the documentation here. It's well put together. Another thing you can do too is you can go to dashboard-demos flowfuse.cloud and you can see all of the widgets put together and how they're put together. You can play with it. You can get a feel for it. How does it work? Okay. Lots of different things that you can play with there. All right. So here's my instance of FlowFuse that is running in the cloud. This is my development environment that I am working with all of the different infrastructure. I'm just going to turn that off real quick because it's causing a glare. So this is where I manage my infrastructure, my different instances that are running throughout wherever they are. They can be in multiple sites, and then they could be in the cloud. What we have is hosted instances. We have remote instances. So I'm going to go to applications. Applications is where I group my instances that are running. Those instances can be hosted or remote. So what I'm going to first do is we want to connect to the Rockwell PLC that's over my shoulder. So the first thing we're going to end up doing here is we're going to go to my Edge instance. To get to my Edge instance, I have called it Hero Nightwatcher. So Hero Nightwatcher is actually this PC that's right there. So you can see that it's last seen 27 seconds ago, and I'm going to go in there. And I can, top right-hand corner, I can just click on Open Editor. And now we're going to be developing flows that are in Node-RED on this device here. It takes just a few seconds to load up, but I can do this from anywhere in the world. I don't have to be there. As long as there's internet connectivity or there's connectivity from the FlowFuse instance to here, then you can develop on it. So you can see that right now what we have is a blank canvas. There's nothing here. So I do have some other things those are things like the UPS, barcode reader, MOX IO logic stuff, IO link stuff. Okay, so we'll look more into this if we have time. But for now, let's focus on the dashboard. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we need to install the Ethernet IP nodes. To be able to do that, you can go to your Manage Palette in the menu button on the top right, Manage Palette, and then you're going to go to Install. You're going to look for Ethernet IP. It's right here. Okay. And you can click on Install and then it'll install it. As you can see, I already have it installed. So if I go to my node palettes, you should be able to see Ethernet here. Okay. So it's already installed. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we want to get the data that I called out of that PLC. So the way to do that is get our ETH IP in. We would normally add a PLC. I should have removed the configuration node. We can do that actually right now. Give me a second. So here, remove that so that we can start fresh. All right. So when we open this up, you can see that there's no Ethernet IP endpoints. So what I can do here is I can hit the plus button and then I can put my IP address in. This is the IP address of that Rockwell controller that's over my shoulder. We're going to give it some tags. And that's going to be, these are tags that reside in the controller. I know this because I programmed the controller, but if you need to know what they are, then you'll have to get with somebody, an engineer that might already have some documentation, or they can get into the program and look for it. So this is going to be a dent. We're going to add 2 more tags. And this is production rejects, dent. So now I'm just going to add that. So I want all tags. All tags, and then I'm going to hit done. So now if we actually were to just test this out real quick, just to make sure that's working, we can put a debug node in here. We can just see what it does. We can see it's actually reading data. If we were to just stop this for just a brief second, we can see that we've got state 1, we've got total 320, and now we've got the next message has our rejects as well. So we have data coming through. That's good. I like it. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to add the change node. So we add the change node. Change right here. What we're doing here is we're going to take that data and we are going to format it in a way that it's standard and normal when it comes up to the dashboard. So we can treat it all the same. So this is important for normalizing things so that you can treat them the same way and you can scale up. We're going to call this line 1. I'm going to put that in the topic, message.topic. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the timestamp. So it's important to timestamp at the edge. Okay, and we're just going to make that milliseconds. So if I go down here, timestamp, milliseconds, I'm going to add, and then what we're going to do is we are going to move some of this data that's in these payloads on the right-hand side, the debug window. We're going to move them. So I'm going to move that to something different. I'm going to move it to payload dot total parts. And then I'm going to do the same thing with 2 more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy this. These need to be message. This one here is going to be changed to rejects. This one here is going to be 8. I'm actually going to turn my camera off, so maybe you guys I'll leave my camera on. All right. So this is going to be reject parts. And this is going to be state. Okay. So now if we were to check that out, I'll move a little bit slow on some of these, just checking them out so that we can see what happens at each step here. And then we'll go a little bit faster on some of the other ones. Okay, so now what we're getting is we're getting total parts. Of course, we want to show people stuff. Total rejects. Well, let me see where I've got here. Oh, I got this set. That's the problem. So we'll fix that real quick. Move and move. Get done. Deploy. That's why it's important to make sure that you test. But the debug node makes it really easy to do that. So let's try this again. There we go. So now we're getting total parts, reject parts, and state. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. All right. So now, more questions?
Hi, Trent. Yeah, it's me again. A couple of questions, and I saw over here someone's asking you to increase the chart size on your screen. It was difficult to read, and I'm guessing means resolution, something like that.
Okay, chart size. Maybe let's try this. They just want to see things a little bit larger, I assume.
Yeah, I guess that will be
Yeah,
it.
'cause I don't know.
And also, there are a couple of questions waiting for you when you're ready.
Sure. I do see a couple of them there. We got Christopher. Any specific reason for Intel-based devices? It doesn't have to be. It can be a Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is an ARM-based device. The reason I say Intel is because you will be able to run different operating systems on it pretty easily without getting into specifics of the hardware type. That's the primary reason, just trying to make it easier on you. But if you feel comfortable with using an ARM device, go right ahead. But you may run into some difficulties. Why Node-RED so Lucas says, why Node-RED for dashboarding versus Grafana or other dashboarding tool? Each dashboarding tool seems to have their pros and cons. Well, you kind of mentioned it there. Each one tends to have their pros and cons. So Grafana is not really designed so much for interacting with data. It's more for visualization. So it can do database queries and you can see the data, and it's very pretty. It creates charts and it makes it pretty easy to do as long as you have a good connector or SQL. In this case, we don't have to know SQL. So we can interact with the data. We need to know a little bit of JavaScript. You need to know a little bit about JSON, but for the most part, it's all visual programming and connectivity. You would still need a connector though. So a Rockwell device PLC is going to need something to connect to get that data to Grafana. For the most part, Grafana doesn't have a connector to Rockwell. So I may be a little bit wrong there. Maybe somebody knows of something, but I haven't seen it. It's not built in. Maybe a community has built one. So I recommend trying both, and you can combine them. So you can start to use a database. You could use an MQTT broker, and you can link them all together and start to see data in both dashboards. So, okay. So let me get moving on this. A filter node. So now what we need is a filter node. The reason we use a filter node is we only want to send the data to our other instance if it changes. So inside the filter node, what it's doing is it's going to block that value unless it changes. And it's going to be basing that off of the topics. The next thing that we need to do is we need to do a project out node. So we'll go down here. This is something that is unique to FlowFuse. You won't find it in Node-RED alone, the standalone Node-RED. So we come here, and then what this is going to do is it's going to send the messages directly to my dashboard. And under what topic? I'm going to do production. Now, this can be whatever you want. Doesn't really matter, but make it something that makes sense to you. So for this, we're doing production. So now what we can do is if I hit deploy, and we would actually see if I went to debug, you should be getting messages that are coming through as they change. So when this payload changes, it will send them out to the project out to. And I'm going to change the name of that so it makes it more sense. So we're going to say production to dash. Okay. So now I'm going to show you real quick how it looks when you are going to, let's say that I need to connect to the other devices. Let me show you those real quick. They're all kind of the same process, but they look a little bit different depending on if it's Siemens or what protocol it is. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you how to import. So you can go to import and you can import flows by using clipboard files, but I'm going to use the team library. I was able to save these flows ahead of time so that I can reuse them. So by coming in here inside of FlowFuse, it stores all these flows for me so I can use them across instances and across team members can use them as well. So I'm just going to import that. And I'm going to do import copy. And what's going to happen if I were to look at this, I'm going to delete the one we just created. I'm going to show you what we have now is this one. So what this is you can see here's the compact logics. It's exactly the same as what we just did. With Siemens, it looks a little bit different, but it works the same way. So the addresses are a little bit different. You have to put these variable addresses in here for the database. And then the same thing with Omron, we're using OPC-UA. So it looks the way that it functions a little bit different. The nice thing is if you need documentation, you can get a pretty quick view by clicking the little book at the bottom, and you can get some ideas on how to implement it over here on the right. So I'm going to go ahead. These are all the same as far as what they're outputting, except for one is called line 2, line 1, and line 3. So I'm just going to make sure that these are corrected. So this one here is line 1. This one right here is line 3. Okay. So I'm going to deploy that. So now if we go, this is our edge instance. Let's say that those are the devices that we need to connect. We just connected to them, and we are now collecting the data coming from 3 different PLCs, from 3 different lines. And if I were to go here, go back to my application, go to webinar, and then right here is my dashboard instance. So if I go here and open the editor, this is actually the cloud hosted instance. So we are going to create our dashboard in this instance, but the data is being passed up from the edge instance. So right now it's blank. Yes, I have some other tabs for some other things, but we'll look at those deeper if we have time. So production. First thing we're going to do is we want to go ahead and get that data from the project node. So project in. So if we do this and we'll call this production. This is going to be production. I'm going to hit done. And then if we were to put a debug node on this, you will see that it has data coming through. Here's our data. So if we were to pay attention to, it's kind of hard to see, but it says line 1, line 2 here, and line 3 here. So I can also look at, if I were to change this to see more information, to be complete message object, I can see a little bit more detail inside here. So we can actually look at this a little bit deeper where it says line 3 is the topic. See some more information down through here. What project it came from. It came from device name Hero Night Watcher. Okay. All right. So moving along, what we're going to do here is the next thing. So we got the project in node. The next thing we need to do is we're going to calculate production metrics. Now, some people might say that I'm cheating a little bit in their time frame, but I do want to show you the power of the tool. So by being able to insert and import, okay, I can go to my team library. In my team library, I have calculate production metrics. This is a function node that I created ahead of time that calculates the production statistics. It will calculate them and store them. I'll give you a glimpse into it. What it really is doing is it's taking it and we are attaching topic and current time, or we're extracting current time. We are taking the total and reject. And if we don't have it stored, we're going to initialize the data we're going to store. We're calculating. They're calculating a change. We're going to accumulate some values. That's what we're doing here. We're summing it. We're calculating some metrics, parts per minute, reject rate, and quality. Here's our parts per minute. And right here's adding our calculated metrics to the payload. Let's take a look at what it looks like here in just a minute. Another thing we're doing is we are saving the parts per minute data points over time, over 10 minutes. I'll show that to you. As soon as we deploy it, what we will actually see under context storage, we can store data in memory to be able to recall it later. So what it's actually doing here is we can see that here is the data that is coming in and the statistics that we're calculating using line 1, total parts, reject parts, state, parts per minute, reject rate, quality, accumulated parts, some more accumulated parts, and the earliest timestamp that we've seen it since, and the timestamp, the latest timestamp. So that's the data that we're storing there. And then we are storing the parts per minute. I'll show you the line chart in a minute, but we are basically just storing the parts per minute and timestamp inside there. All right. So next thing we're going to do is we are going to add a dropdown. Okay, so the dropdown is right here. So our dropdown is going to be for selecting the line. We're going to select the line that we want to observe on our dashboard. So we can see that there are some other pages or groups in here, but what I want to do is I want to add. So I'm going to add a page here in just a minute. So I'm working through it. That was a group. Now we're going to add a page, hitting the plus, and we're going to add it to my dashboard. We're going to call this production. This is a new page. And we're going to leave it the default theme, and we're going to give it a path of production. Okay, we're going to leave that as the home icon and hit add. So now we actually have added a page. I'll show you that here soon. So this right here is a group name. What do we want to call the group name? Group name is going to be line status. Okay, so now we hit add. This, we are back to the drop-down node. So we are going to call this select line. And then we are going to say select line. And we need to add 3 values. So line 1 is going to get a label of line 1. Line 2. These are the options that are in the dropdown. I'll show you that soon. Okay, 0.3. And then it's going to output that when we change. So what we can do is I will show you that right now, just so that you can visualize this a little bit, what we're doing. If I deploy it, what I can go do is I can go back to my instances and I can click on dashboard. So now my dashboard, we'll see now actually has a production page. If we click this, these are some other pages that I created, I showed you previously. So there's the PLC Next has some data coming through, and here's some of our data coming from energy sources that are IO link and temperature that are IO link, as well as some buttons to be able to turn the lights on and off. Okay, some barcode, button, RFID, and encoder. So coming back to the production, now we have our dropdown. So when I hit line 1, if I were to go back to my instance that I was just looking at, this one right here, you can see that it actually put in the debug window line 1. That was the line that I selected. So that's what's happening there. Pretty easy to do there. Not a problem. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to store this. Every time we change it, we want to store that. So to store it, we're going to use a change node. Yes.
Hey,
Yeah.
Trent.
Yeah. Hi.
A couple more questions for you when you have a
Sure.
minute.
Sure. All right. So Corey, what level of collaboration do you need to do with IT teams in order to get this set up? Will the edge devices call out through the firewalls in order to bypass IT? Um, it does. It does on the edge. It's actually making a call outward to the instance, wherever that instance is, whether it be a on-premise self-hosted instance or a cloud instance or your own virtual machine in the cloud. It's going to talk to that. So it doesn't really need any ports that are open on the inbound direction of the firewall. So if if the ports are open on outbound connections, then yes, it's going to be able to talk to that instance. But it's nice and secure because you aren't open to any exposing any ports for inbound direction. So you need to verify with your IT team that that's going to be okay. You also need to pay attention to you are passing some of your data into a instance that may not reside in your control. That's something that you need to pay attention to as well. But there are options for self-hosting and dedicated that can help with maintaining compliance. So Daniel has a question. From what's been shown so far, what does FlowFuse provide that Node-RED doesn't? Maybe I wasn't very clear in the beginning. Node-RED, it runs by itself, and you can download the node packages and you can do the connections like what I've shown so far. But being able to manage it and deploy it remotely and at scale, and then also have a cloud instance that's running as well as a edge instance that can all be managed and developed on from anywhere in the world, that's more something that Node-RED does not offer. So Node-RED itself out of the box does not offer that. You need to be connected directly to that instance to be able to manage it. There's also authentication. So if you want to add users and have authentication, Node-RED doesn't have that inbuilt. And then snapshots. You want to do development snapshots and maintain those things. I also mentioned the library. It doesn't have the library. So there's quite a few different things. All right. Okay, so let's store this. So this is going to be stored in a flow, and we're going to store it in line selected. Okay, and we're going to set that value to message payload. And then we are also going to set the topic. So we're going to set the topic. We're going to pass the topic, or pass to the topic, we're going to pass the payload. The payload is the messages that we saw coming through. So we got set. Yep, that should be good. Okay, but now we're storing it. Then we're going to do an inject node. What the inject node is going to do is every 10 seconds, we're going to change this repeat down here to an interval of every 10 seconds. And what that's going to do is we are going to output the timestamp on the payload, but we want on the topic, we're actually going to output the flow.line selected. So this all has to do with line selection. There's that. Then we're going to put a change node in. So the change node, what the change node is going to do, okay, we're going to do this here, we're going to do this here, and do this here, okay? What the change node is going to do is it is going to extract the production data that we stored in the flow context over here. It's going to extract this based on the name, line 1, line 2, line 3. So the payload is going to become flow.production. So this is the value that comes from line selected. So we are just passing that through from here into here, and I'm just going to say done. Okay. So now what we could actually do is if we want to see what's happening here real quick, deploy, we are going to go to debug window, and every 10 seconds, Or go back to, let's see here. Here's the dashboard. So if I pick line 2 and then go to our instance, here's our instance. Now what we can see is we're getting line 2 information. Okay, if I were to change that real quick to line 3 and then look at it, what we'll see is line 3 is right here. So it's getting line 3. Okay, so now our line select is passing the data that we are storing in the flow context. So now what we're going to do is we are going to start to add some elements that we can visualize on the dashboard. Okay, so let's add a gauge. Scroll down here. If you don't have the dashboard palette already installed, it works just like the Allen Bradley Rockwell Ethernet IP nodes. You go in here to the manage palette and you can go to install and then you just type in dashboard. And something that you can do as well is you can pick the FlowFuse certified nodes and it will show you only the ones that FlowFuse has certified to be fully functional and meet certain quality standards. Okay, you can install that one right there. So now what we're going to do is drop a gauge. So put a gauge in here like this. And we're going to call that state. We're going to put this in the production line status group. We're going to call it state. We're going to make it a tile. There are a bunch of different types here. You can take a look at the documentation to be able to see all the different types. It's going to be using payload.state, which over on the right-hand side, you would actually be able to take a look at right there. Payload state is what it's going to be displaying. And we're going to use 0, 1, 2, and we're going to display a value, a string value that is going to be stopped. This is a stop state. This one here is a string value that is going to be running state. This one here is a string value that is going to be down. So it's basically downtime, unexpected downtime. This one here, we're going to change to be green. This one here, we're going to change to be gray. Okay. We're going to give it a label so that we can see on the dashboard what it's called. We are going to also do always show the label, and it's going to be in the top left-hand corner. So just to give you a visualization on that, here's what it's going to show. There we go. So now it's telling us that line 3 is stopped, line 1 is running, line 2 is running. Perfect. Okay. Moving back to our instance, what we're going to do is we're going to copy and paste that a few times. So we're going to connect our message to each one of those, and we're going to change them. So this one here is going to display total. It's going in the same place, the line status, and we're going to do, let's see, total. It's going to be total parts accumulated is what we want. So this one right here, you can actually click on this where it says path, and you can paste it right in there, just like that. Then what we can do is we only want the gray one, and we're going to show, instead of a text field or a string field, we're actually going to show the value. And we're going to give it our total. Done. Actually, I'm going to change these a little bit, copy and paste this one instead because it already has some of the properties set for me. I'll do this, total. And then we're going to do, let's see, this is going to be rejects. So if I just change this, copy this, paste that there. We're going to do ppm. And this one's actually going to be a little bit different. Instead of showing a title or a tile, it's actually going to be a gauge. Oh, no, this one's a tile. The next one will be a gauge. So here's parts per minute. Parts per minute, value. Okay, done. And then I'll show you all of these here in just a minute. They look like visually, because I want to show you the difference. So the difference here is I'm changing this to a half gauge, and then it's actually going to be, it's going to have a needle that displays what we're looking at. This is going to be our reject rate. Our reject rate comes from here. So I just hit copy there, there. And our reject rate will actually be from 0 to 100 because it's a percentage. And what we're going to do is we're going to add some different levels that can change color. So this is going to be at 5. This is going to be at 10. That actually doesn't. We'll go with that. Yeah, 0, 5, and 10. So show you that here in a minute. So green. So here is going to be yellow. So here is going to be red. Okay. We're going to give it reject rate. And this is going to be a percentage. So I'll give it a unit. So click done. I'll do the final gauge here real quick. Final gauge is going to be quality. So let's do that real quick. Boom, boom, boom. It's going to be, we're going to rearrange these. This is going to be 0 to 90, and then 95. We're going to call this quality. It's going to be a percent as well. So now I'm going to hit done. I'm going to hit deploy. Now I'll go back to here. Now you can see that they are a little bit different out of order, but what we can do is we can change that. But you can see the gauges actually have a needle on them. So now that you can see the data is coming in here, it's populating on the gauges. So let's rearrange that real quick. So to do that, we actually have a dashboard tab in the top right-hand corner, and you can see the order of things. What I want to do is I want to rearrange this so that I get my select line at the top. There's my total rejects, parts per minute, reject rate, quality, but my state is wrong. I want that to be up here too. So let's just hit deploy. Let's check to see what that looks like. There we go. That's better. So now it looks much better for me. All right, moving ahead to the next thing that I want to show is we're going to show a change node. We're going to show the line chart. So that's what we're going to add right now. Put a change node in. Right here. And then we're going to take the data. I'm actually going to add, what's interesting here is I'm going to add a junction. Show you this is just for like organization of your linking. So we can add this here from here down to here. So now we can stay nice and neat and organized. We're going to put this as ppm, and it's going to be, the payload is going to become our stored data out of the flow context, ppm. It's going to be message.topic is how we're looking it up. Just like that. And then after that, we need to put in a production rate chart. So I can scroll down here and find our node for production rate chart. The chart is right here. Okay, we're going to link that to the chart. Chart's going to have some properties that we're going to change. I want it to also be in production line status. We're going to call it production rate. And it's going to be 6x4. Like this is, you can change the size of that chart so it fits best in your dashboard. It's going to be line, linear, and then we're actually going to do replace here. You can have it just collect the data as you send it data samples, or in this case, we're going to replace it because we're actually looking up stored data. So it's going to say time scale, automatic. We're going to look at the last 10 minutes of data. We are using the topic as our series. We're going to do the key needs to be timestamp because that is in our data. And then the key is going to be parts per min. And what we can actually do, I'll show you that in just a second when I can open it up. That is based on this here. Timestamp and parts per minute. That's what we're going to be showing on this chart. All right, deploy. If I go and look at the dashboard, we should now have a production rate chart. Oh, I missed something. Let's take a look at that. Payload, payload to ppm. Oh, it's this right here. There we go. Let's try that. That's a little better. There we go. Now we got some rates. Bingo. There we go. All right. So one of the last things that we're going to show here is we're going to show the line comparison. So we are running a little bit out of time, so I'm under a little bit of pressure here. Let me see if I can finish it in time here. Going back to the instance to develop the last few things, we're going to do I'm going to insert a pre-prepared team library node that it collects all the production data. So I can import that right here. And I'm going to do what I'm calling a line comparison, which is going to be a chart. It's going to be a bar chart. Connected to this data here. Connect from here to here. We want to put it in a new group. We're going to call it overview. Same page. Okay. We're calling this line comparison. Okay. And it's going to be a bar chart side by side. We're going to replace the data because we're looking it up, we're not asking the chart to collect it for us. We are going to do none on the series. We're going to go, the key is going to be topic. And the key down here for the Y is going to be total parts accumulated. I'm going to hit done. I'm going to hit deploy. I'm going to show you this here. So now, here's our overview. Come on, overview. Give me something. Something failed me. All right. That's not what I want. So right here. What am I missing? What am I missing? Let's see what we're getting right now. I might have misspelled this. So let's just see if total parts accumulated is what I need here. Key. Yeah, I misspelled it. Let's try that. There we go. Now we got our overview. Perfect. Perfect. So let's see, we got 4 minutes. Let's see, we got some questions though. So I just want to show one last thing. The one last thing is we can set up events. And to do that is pretty easy. If I were to just show you, the last one would actually team library. I'm just going to import the whole flow just to speed things up here. Dash production import. Down here, we can actually set up to where we're looking at the line quality. We're getting production line 1, and then we're looking to see if quality is under 85. We create a message, quality is too low, and we are putting that into an events table right here. Hit deploy. And if I go back and look at our production dashboard, I broke it because I deleted it. Get out of that. Oh no, I broke it. Of course. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. Delete. There we go. Boy. Confirm deploy is fine. There we are. So now what we actually have, if I were to go back to the instance right here, we can check the line quality and it should have events. There's our event, quality too low. So now we have a fully completed dashboard. I know that was like, we got 2 minutes left. So I apologize for running us so tight on that. I appreciate it, everybody. Thank you so much for being here and checking out me speed through the last couple minutes here. So the last thing here is going to be the demo. And there's the thank you. I'll see if I can answer those questions for you guys here, maybe offline.
That's all right, Trent, if you want to go over them.
Sure, I can do that as long as we have just a couple minutes that I can cover some of these questions.
Quickly.
Yeah. Okay, so Lucas, working with customers, how do you convince customers to allow remote connectivity from their facilities? That's a tough one. Demonstrate it and then have some discussions with the security. And then if you need some reinforcement from FlowFuse to understand security, that's something that kind of got to make people feel comfortable on. You could also have an agreement where you only pass certain types of data and you have them do a review so that they're okay with these types of data being passed to another instance. So Luis says, I think there's already many solutions out there, but what stands out to FlowFuse is my view is openness to many OT protocols and cost benefit balance. Combination makes it easy to justify remote connectivity to both operations and IT. Also, many IT departments are only familiar with IT protocols and not OT. Yeah, that's true. Node-RED combines the two. You get OT protocols plus IT protocols, and you can bring them together. And its openness is what really makes it so accessible. Christopher asks, can FlowFuse be used as a protocol converter, such as Ethernet IP to OPC UA? Absolutely. You can use the nodes that I actually just showed you, even though you won't be reading to a Rockwell controller. If you're trying to read from one PLC and you want to copy it to the other, you can write data as well. So you can take from one data source and write to the other one. No problem there. Modbus TCP, sure. OPC UA, yep. You can read from one PLC a type and then write a different PLC type. Yeah, you can do all that conversion inside the flow and then send it as it's expected. So Luis says that's actually what he's doing right now. He's collecting data from an OPC UA server and a Siemens controller. He built a dashboard to see what's happening. He also set up the connection to Teams to receive some notifications. Andy White asks, will FlowFuse allow multiple instances of an application to be executed at the same time? Yes. So your instances in the cloud, if you have hosted instances, you can create as many as you're willing to, your team allows you to do, and then which is really based on cost. You have different levels of packages that you can buy, and then the instances sometimes can add on cost as well, depending on your needs. And at the edge, each edge instance can be can potentially have more than one on it as well. There's some special precautions, but you could have more than one instance running on each one. So if you need to balance out workload, connect to multiple devices, if you want them to be task separated, so this one does one thing, this one does another thing, like this one does database connectivity, this one does MQTT connectivity, you can have two instances that could be potentially be running on there as well. So yes. Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay, I'm back here. I just want to say thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And thank you, Trent. This was very interesting, very insightful. I think everyone enjoyed the session. And if you'd like to continue the conversation, I left some links there to our contact us page. There's the link to the survey too. So we hope to see you in future webinars, and until the next deployment. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye.